Hello everyone, I'm Woko and welcome to Wokolandia. Sorry, but this period is quite rough and I don't have a lot of time for make video. And also this one is quite long and take me a lot of time. All start a few years ago that I made a video about make 2 Great Unclean One from one kit. And like I show in that video that you can find in the description, when you buy Great Unclean One from Games Workshop, you can build only one of them, but you have a lot of parts. Specifically 3 head and 6 arms with weapon. The only part missing is a big main body, and that is quite simple to recreate. In that video I use Fimo wire for create the main body, and in this video for the 3rd Great Unclean One I wanna use the usual polymeric clay, but for do that I need to bake the final result. And for this reason I start from a beer can, and after that I use, like you see, a lot of tin foil. In this way I can build a support skeleton and put it in the oven without any type of melting part, etc, etc. And always remember, in the oven, not in the microwave. I don't want to cause fires or explosion. And like you see, I start sculpt the main body directly with the tin foil. In this way, when I cover the entire miniature, and it's not quite a miniature because it's very big, but whatever, and when I cover the entire miniature with polymeric clay, I already know where the muscle and the fat is, and also I don't need to use a lot of clay, and that is quite important because in this way I'm sure that the final result will be baked correctly, because sometimes if you have too much clay you risk that the inside is stay soft and he break. In this way, with the tin foil support, you are sure that inside is well cooked. I don't know how to say that. And this is basically the entire process, and I don't know how cover almost 20 minutes of video. Because I want to show you every single step of this creation. I know that for someone is boring, and I get it, but when I watch reel, shorts, TikTok, or even video, when you see only a few steps of the entire creation process, sometimes you don't even understand how much time and effort this guy put in his creation. And also because internet in these days is full of fake stuff, you are not even sure that this thing is not 3D printed or AI generated. In any case, in this way I can show you every single part if you wanna create this thing at home, because it's completely from scratch. And here I try to mime the original Great Unclean One pose, but obviously you can build any other type of big blob of fat and muscle. And here, like you see, I use some steel wire for make a support for the thin foil structure. And with that, the skeleton of this big miniature is basically done. And I need to say that I probably sculpt too well this support part, because at last this entire skeleton will be covered with polymeric clay, and you actually only need a rough idea of the shape of the figure. But I really enjoy this part of the process, probably because it's so easy to sculpt this thin foil, and the results come out so well and so fast. And also, if you don't like it, you can make another one, it's free. And now it's time to show you what type of material I use for sculpt the entire body. And this is some cheap polymeric clay, it's like Fimo that I used in other video, but is way cheaper. And I decided to use those specific color because they fit the purpose. In the end, I don't know if I wanna paint this guy. He is an experiment, and I wanna make one or other two video about this Great Unclean One. In my mind, I have already something like a background for this big guy, something that make this miniature way different from the usual Great Unclean One. And before decide if I gonna paint or how I gonna paint this thing, I need to see the entire complete figure. And in this video I gonna show you how make another main body for the Great Unclean One from Games Workshop. And in the next video I will start the actual modification of this miniature. He will remain a Great Unclean One, but under another deity. And obviously, I don't know, well, I don't think a Greater Daemon of Nurgle can be corrupted by another chaos god, but wherever, the rule of cool is what is important, and I stick with it. And like you see here, I sculpt and bake the 2 feet of this big guy. And this is the type of process I go in for. I tackle a single part of the miniature, in this case the knees and the upper part of the feet, and after the sculpt is done, I bake the entire figure. In this way I'm sure that when I start sculpt the next part, I don't risk to ruin the previous work. Also, because I have a lot of different color of clay brick, I don't know the correct name, I decide to use different color for different part of this body, and the result is quite funny. And is one of the reasons why I'm not sure to paint this miniature, but we will see. And like I said previously, I try to show you the entire sculpting process, and maybe for someone is boring, and I completely understand it. And if you want to skip this part or put the video on double speed, yeah, you can do it. But I really want to have the possibility to show you the different step I take for make this big guy, and how I gonna sculpt the different muscle and fat part. Some are very simple. I basically roll some sausages of polymeric clay and I bend them around the thin foil support, or like you see here, that I cover the entire part with clay, and after that with my sculpting tool I try to reshape a little bit, follow the skeleton I previously made. And when the base is done, I start sculpting some detail, maybe some wrinkle for give him a little bit of character. And this entire process is not really precise. You basically have an idea about the part you need to sculpt, and after the base is done you can obviously add as many details as you want. And the final result is quite random actually. And also here I try to decide the color sequence for the different parts. Like I said, I have a lot of different little brick of material, and I try to use them at the best of my ability. And try to put the different color clay in succession, hoping that the result is not too weird. And because it's not a Greater Daemon of Nurgle, well, it is, but is not under Nurgle, then I try to avoid to put a lot of decay and boil and gross stuff around. In this way the result is a little bit weird because he's clean and he looked like a very fat guy. And obviously this one is for my big project with different video and under another deity, but if you wanna make a proper Great Unclean One body, main body, you can obviously put a lot of boil, gross stuff, a big mouth on the belly, and make it fit with the Nurgle theme. And is basically the same stuff I have done in the previous project. And also, like I have done in the previous project, I want to magnetize the different part, like the head and the two arms. And the idea behind that is have different Great Unclean One with interchangeable weapons. And also this thing helped me a lot because I can sculpt aside the two different arms and the head. But those things are for another video. And for now we need to focus on the original spare parts from the Games Workshop kit. And now I think it's time to fix his derrière. Compare with the original one is way different. Probably because the Great Unclean One from Games Workshop is not sculpted on a beer can, but I tried to fix this little problem. Starting with removing part of the skeleton, and after that using the remaining of this violet polymeric clay, I reshape the back of the figure. The color is not quite the same because, like I said previously, every single brick of clay have a different color, and this one is the clay I use for the arms. But wherever, this is another little variation that fits this weird miniature vibe. And now it's time to put some magnets on this big guy, give him some arms and head, free from Games Workshop. And on a big miniature like this one is quite simple. I pick up some magnet that they fit the previous one, and after that I use some acrylic paint for mark the magnet on the original arm, and I press the arm in place. In this way I easily found the right spot for place the magnet, and after that I repeat the process with the other arm and the head. And now the only thing I need to do is use my Dremel for drill a little hole for glue the magnet in place. And with that, even this big miniature is done. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you found something useful for your hobby. And if you have some question, comment down below and let me know what you think about this project. You like the idea? You don't like the idea? Makes sense or is too weird? And also remember to like, share and subscribe is the best way for support the channel and is completely free. And now I leave you with this first part of this big journey and a simple way for make free Great Unclean One from one kit.